Evan Harper adjusted the straps of his backpack as he walked through the metal corridors of the research vessel. The hum of the engines filled the air, and the faint smell of oil and metal surrounded him. He had been sent on a mission to investigate a pulse of energy detected on a drifting alien station. The crew called it unusual, and the captain wanted answers fast. Evan had always loved the quiet work of research, but this mission felt different. There was an uneasy tension in the air, something he could not name. The station was dark and abandoned, or at least it seemed so at first. Broken panels and flickering lights made the halls feel like a maze. Evan walked carefully, his boots echoing against the metal floor. Every step made him more alert. He had been trained for danger, but nothing had prepared him for what he would find here. In a small, dim room, he noticed movement. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, but then he saw her. Leora was lying on the floor, her body fragile, her long hair spread around her like a halo. She looked alien, not like anything Evan had seen before. Her skin was pale with a faint blue tint, and her eyes shone softly in the dark. She stirred weakly as he approached. Evan knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" he asked, though he already feared the answer. She did not speak. Instead, she watched him with her large eyes, full of fear and something else he could not understand. She tried to move, but her strength was gone. Evan quickly assessed her injuries, small cuts, bruises, and a deep gash on her arm. He unzipped his backpack and pulled out a first aid kit. He worked quickly, cleaning her wounds and wrapping bandages. Every time his hands touched her skin, she flinched. "Careful," she whispered softly, almost like a warning. Her voice was weak, but it carried weight. Evan noticed the faint tremble in her hands and the rapid rise and fall of her chest. He realized she was in pain and afraid. "I won't hurt you," he said gently. "I just want to help." She looked at him, her eyes searching. Then she murmured words that made Evan pause. "I can feel everything." He froze. Her words were strange, almost impossible. "What do you mean?" he asked. She did not answer directly. Instead, she curled slightly, trying to protect herself. Evan understood that she might not trust humans. He had read about empathic species before. Rare and powerful beings who could feel emotions and pain as if they were their own. Could she be one of them? Suddenly the station shook. A loud alarm went off somewhere deep inside. Evan looked around. Dust and sparks fell from the ceiling. The structure was unstable. He knew they did not have much time. "We need to move," he said, helping her to her feet. She leaned on him, weak but able to stand with support. Together, they navigated the crumbling corridors, avoiding falling debris. Evan's heart pounded as he realized how dangerous it was. If the station collapsed, they could die here. They reached an exit, but it was blocked by a fallen beam. Evan quickly searched the area, finding a piece of metal strong enough to pry the debris aside. Leora watched silently, her eyes fixed on him. He could feel her tension, her fear, as if it wrapped around his own emotions like a shadow. Finally, they pushed the beam aside and stepped into the docking bay. Evan breathed a sigh of relief. The air here smelled less of decay and more of the recycled oxygen of the station's life support. Outside, he could see the stars shining through the broken glass of the bay's dome. The cold vacuum of space was only a pain away. Evan lifted Leora gently and carried her to the small shuttle they had used to approach the station. She did not resist, but he felt the weight of her presence, heavy and almost electric. She murmured again, "Careful, human. I can feel everything." This time her voice had a hint of warning, as if she could sense his thoughts and emotions even before he acted. Inside the shuttle, Evan secured her in a seat and strapped her in. He took the co-pilot's seat and started the engines. The shuttle hummed as it lifted off, moving away from the dying station. Evan glanced at her. She was quiet, her eyes closed now, but he could still feel her awareness, as if she was absorbing everything around her. The journey back to the main vessel was tense. Evan monitored the controls while stealing glances at Leora. He could not understand her completely, but he felt a connection forming. It was strange and unfamiliar, yet comforting in a way he could not explain. He had saved her, but somehow he sensed that she had saved him too, in ways he did not yet understand. When they reached the main vessel, Captain Laura Briggs was waiting. She was cautious, but she trusted Evan's judgment. "Is she dangerous?" she asked. Evan shook his head. "Not to us, but she is different. I think she can feel emotions, more than just a little. Everything. We need to be careful." The captain nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Keep her safe. We will figure out what to do next." Evan helped Leora to her feet again and guided her to a private quarters prepared for her. She moved slowly, still fragile, but she followed without protest. Once inside, she sat on the edge of the bed, her hands clasped together. Evan watched her, unsure how to begin a conversation that would not overwhelm her. "I know this is strange for you," he said softly. "I don't know much about your people, but I want to help you." She looked at him, her eyes searching. "You can feel it too?" she asked. Evan frowned. "Feel what?" "The connection," she said. "When you touch me, I feel everything you feel. Fear, worry, and something else." Evan realized that she could sense his emotions in a way humans could not. It was unsettling, yet strangely intimate. "I am not afraid to help you," he said. "I just want to keep you safe." She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I will try to trust you, but be careful, human. I can feel everything." Evan smiled faintly. "Noted. I'll be careful." As the ship continued its journey through the stars, Evan sat near the window, watching the endless black space. He thought about the station, about Leora, and about the strange bond that had begun to form between them. It was frightening, uncertain, and yet full of possibilities. Evan did not know what challenges lay ahead, but he knew one thing for certain. He could not abandon her, no matter how dangerous the galaxy became. And Leora, in her quiet, powerful way, was already changing the way he saw the universe. She was not just someone he needed to save. She was someone who would make him understand what it meant to truly feel, in every sense of the word. Evan Harper stayed close to Leora as the ship moved through the quiet reaches of space. She was seated in the small quarters, watching the stars through the window. Her eyes reflected the lights, wide and thoughtful, and her hands rested on her lap. She had begun to adjust to life aboard the human vessel, but every new sound and movement seemed to overwhelm her senses. Evan understood that. He could sense it in the tension around her shoulders, the way her breath came in short, careful bursts. He brought her small meals, simple food from the galley, and watched as she ate with care. She did not eat like a human, slowly picking at the food as if every taste was new and intense. Evan remembered her warning. She could feel everything. He realized that even small things, like food or sounds, could be overwhelming for her. The crew had started to notice her presence. Captain Laura Briggs kept a close eye on her, curious but cautious. The engineers and scientists whispered, sometimes glancing nervously at Leora. She was unlike anything they had seen before, and the unknown always made people uneasy. But Evan stayed by her side, helping her navigate the ship's hallways and rooms. He explained simple tasks, showing her where the supplies were and how the ship functioned. Despite her initial fear, Leora began to show small signs of trust. She asked questions about the stars and the humans who lived among them. She listened carefully when Evan explained human technology, tilting her head and blinking slowly. Her expressions were subtle but telling. He could feel her curiosity, her growing confidence, and even her quiet appreciation. It was a strange feeling for him, sensing someone else's emotions so clearly. One day, while Evan was helping her with the communications panel, a sudden alert blared. The ship shook as if it had been hit. Red lights flashed, and the captain's voice came over the intercom. "All crew to stations. Unknown vessels detected nearby. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Evan grabbed Leora's hand and led her quickly to the control deck. Her eyes widened, and he could feel her fear ripple through her like electricity. She squeezed his hand tightly, almost instinctively, and he could sense her panic. He whispered, "I am here. You will be safe." The alien vessels appeared on the sensors, fast and numerous. They had sharp, angular hulls designed for speed and attack. Evan watched as the captain gave orders, and the crew moved with practiced efficiency. But the presence of Leora made him more cautious. He knew these ships might be aware of her abilities, and that made the situation even more dangerous. As the human vessel moved through evasive maneuvers, Leora remained close to Evan. She focused, trying to understand the emotions around her. She felt the fear of the crew, the tension of the captain, and the rising determination in Evan. It was confusing, but also grounding. She had not felt so many emotions from one place before, and it was both overwhelming and reassuring. The battle lasted for hours. The alien ships were relentless, testing the humans' skills and patience. Every move Evan made, every decision the crew took, was felt by Leora as waves of tension and anticipation. At times, she could not control the flood of emotions, and she had to close her eyes and breathe deeply. Evan noticed and placed his hand gently on her shoulder. The contact calmed her slightly, as if his own steady presence could anchor her in the chaos. After escaping the immediate danger, the crew gathered to assess the damage. Minor hull breaches and system malfunctions were repaired quickly, but the threat of pursuit remained. Captain Briggs called a meeting in the command room, and Evan accompanied Leora, helping her walk steadily. He explained quietly what was happening, preparing her for the discussions about strategy and defense. "We need to move carefully," the captain said. "These vessels will not stop until they find what they are looking for." Evan felt the weight of the words. He knew Leora was the target. The crew's attention shifted slightly, curious but respectful of her presence. Leora could sense their thoughts and intentions. She realized that humans were protective, and that made her cautious optimism grow. She studied Evan closely, noting his determination to shield her from harm. Days passed, and the ship continued its journey through sectors filled with scattered debris and abandoned colonies. Evan and Leora spent time together, often in silence. He taught her simple things about human culture like music and stories. She listened, absorbing every emotion he shared, feeling the warmth, humor, and sadness in the tales. Each story built a connection between them, a bridge of understanding across species. One evening, Leora asked quietly, "Evan, why do humans care so much for each other? Why do you risk yourself for someone you barely know?" Evan smiled faintly. "I don't know exactly. Maybe it is because we understand that everyone has value. We can't know what someone might mean to us until we care for them. You are important, Leora. I want to keep you safe, not because I have to, but because I want to." She listened, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "I can feel everything you feel, even your small worries. It is strange, but not unpleasant." Evan chuckled softly. "Then you understand me more than anyone else here." The bond between them grew stronger. Leora began to relax more, allowing herself small gestures of trust. She shared memories of her home planet, of the forests and lakes, of the people she once knew. Evan listened intently, feeling the depth of her emotions. It was a lot to take in, but he accepted it, knowing that understanding her was part of protecting her. As their journey continued, scouts reported movement from hostile factions in nearby sectors. The crew prepared for possible encounters, reinforcing shields and weapons. Evan stayed near Leora, helping her manage her growing abilities. She was learning to sense emotions at a distance, to detect danger before sensors could, but it left her exhausted. Evan guided her through meditation exercises, simple breathing techniques, and moments of calm observation. One night, as they floated quietly in a safe corridor, Leora looked at Evan and whispered, "I feel so much, Evan. Sometimes it is too much. But I feel you, too. You are steady. And it helps." Evan nodded. "We will face this together. You are not alone." The human vessel, carrying its fragile cargo and brave crew, continued its journey through the stars. The dangers were many, the enemies determined. But a bond had been formed between a human and an empath. It was a bond that would shape the course of events to come, challenging everything the galaxy believed about humans and their capacity for courage, care, and unexpected strength. Evan stayed close to Leora, knowing that she could sense his every thought and feeling. And he realized that he was not just protecting her. He was learning to understand a new kind of power, a new way of feeling, and a new reason to fight for life in a universe full of dangers and wonders. The galaxy outside the human ship was dark and vast, filled with silent stars and distant suns. Evan Harper sat beside Leora in the observation deck, watching the stars drift by. Leora's eyes were bright, reflecting the light, but her expression was tense. She had grown stronger since their first meeting, but the sense of danger in the galaxy weighed heavily on her. Reports from the ship's sensors showed that multiple hostile factions were tracking them. The human crew worked tirelessly to maintain shields, repair systems, and plan evasive maneuvers. Evan stayed near Leora, guiding her through the ship and helping her manage the emotions that surrounded her. He could feel her tension and fear, and he focused on calming her with steady words and gentle gestures. One morning, the ship's alarm blared. A fleet of enemy ships had emerged from a hidden nebula, surrounding them on all sides. The captain gave orders for evasive maneuvers, but Evan could sense Leora's panic rising. She grabbed his hand, her fingers trembling. "Evan, they can feel me. They will know I am here." Evan squeezed her hand firmly. "We will get through this. Stay with me. I will not let anything happen to you." The first wave of attacks hit. Lasers streaked across space, and the ship shook violently. Evan helped Leora maintain balance, feeling her fear as if it were his own. She closed her eyes, trying to focus, and he guided her through calming techniques they had practiced. Slowly, she regained control of her senses. Leora's abilities became crucial. She could sense the emotions of the enemy pilots, predicting their moves and alerting the crew before any attack could hit. Her empathic power disrupted the attackers' coordination, causing confusion and hesitation. Evan watched in awe as she used her gift to protect them, realizing how strong and unique she truly was. During a brief lull, the captain called a meeting. Evan and Leora joined the crew, moving carefully through the corridors. Leora sensed every emotion in the room: fear, anxiety, determination, and hope. She understood the humans better than she had before, feeling their strength and resolve. Evan stayed close, whispering reassurances when her emotions threatened to overwhelm her. The battle continued for hours. Each encounter tested the limits of the human ship and its crew. Leora's powers drained her quickly, and Evan supported her through each moment, ensuring she had time to rest and recover. Despite the danger, she grew more confident, learning to control her abilities and use them to protect the ship. One evening, after a particularly intense skirmish, Evan found Leora sitting alone in the observation deck. The stars reflected in her eyes, and she looked exhausted. He sat beside her, offering silent support. "Evan," she whispered, "I can feel everything. Their anger, their fear, their desire to destroy. It is too much sometimes." Evan nodded, understanding completely. I know, but you are strong, Leora. You have already done more than anyone could expect. We will face this together. She leaned slightly against him, feeling his calm determination. For the first time, she felt that she could trust someone fully. Her connection with Evan deepened, not just as a guide or protector, but as someone who truly understood her. The next day, the ship entered a dense asteroid field, hoping to lose the enemy pursuit. The jagged rocks and shifting debris created a dangerous path, but it also offered cover. Evan guided the ship through the field, while Leora focused on sensing the emotions of nearby enemy ships. She could feel their confusion and fear, using it to steer the humans safely through the rocks. Despite the challenges, the bond between Evan and Leora grew stronger. They communicated without words, sharing thoughts and feelings in a way that only they could understand. Leora began to appreciate the humans' resilience and care, and Evan marveled at her courage and unique abilities. Days later, an enemy ambush awaited them near a remote star system. Several ships had hidden among the planets waiting to strike. The human crew prepared for battle, knowing that Leora's powers could turn the tide. Evan stayed by her side, offering guidance and comfort. The battle was fierce. Enemy ships attacked from all directions, and the human vessel responded with precision and skill. Leora focused, sensing the emotional waves of the attackers and alerting the crew to their moves. She guided the humans through each strike, protecting them from harm. Evan marveled at her strength, realizing how much he had come to depend on her presence. After the battle, the ship drifted quietly in space, damaged but still intact. The crew worked to repair systems while Evan and Leora found a moment of peace. She sat beside him, her hands resting on his, and whispered, "I never thought I could feel so much and still be safe. With you, I feel like I can handle anything." Evan smiled, his heart warmed by her words. "We will face whatever comes together. You are not alone." As they continued their journey, Leora's powers grew stronger and more controlled. She could sense danger before it appeared, protect the crew, and provide insights that even the most advanced human technology could not offer. Evan realized that their bond was more than just survival. It was a partnership that could change the course of events in the galaxy. Through the stars, they moved cautiously but confidently. Evan stayed by Leora's side, knowing that her abilities and courage were invaluable. And Leora, for the first time, felt that she belonged somewhere, that she had a purpose beyond fear and survival. Together, they faced the challenges of the galaxy, proving that trust, courage, and understanding could overcome even the greatest dangers.